On today's show, Lexus offers 1 million kilometre battery warranty, Tesla does a backflip, and well, a little bit more. Welcome everyone, my name's Chris and this is your show about everything happening in the space of renewable technologies such as wind, solar, electric vehicles, battery storage and a heck of a lot more. If you're new to the channel, welcome. Consider subscribing, it really does support the channel. And how are you by the way? You okay? You good? Staying well? I hope so. Alright, and look, if you could do it, if you can subscribe and take it to the next level, join these awesome guys over here on Patreon where you get early access, polls, news and things that you just don't get here. And a big shout out to my producer levels, Ashley Hill, Tessa Nagong and well, Nigel Faria, who get their name mentioned once per week. Yeah, thanks to you guys. Alright, so with that said, let's get into the news, shall we? Nissan Europe is about to launch an upgraded version of its successful ENV200 van. Seen here, the ENV200 XL Voltia has 8 cubic meters of cargo space and enables delivery staff to be able to stand up. And it's like 90% larger than previous versions, which have been available in Europe since 2014. Yeah, 2014, where like to date, they've sold more than 42,000 of these. With just a bit over 200 kilometers of estimated range from a 40 kilowatt hour battery, and an onboard shadow mode charger that will cover most deliveries for like the delivery drivers do every day, Nissan anticipates that more than 10,000 of these will be sold per year moving forward, but no plans yet for Australia. So comment down below, do you think that this would do well in Australia? My thoughts? Yeah, because well, businesses down here, they get like tax breaks and government incentives to use commercial vehicles like these. In fact, there's a little bit of a list there as to what they can get, whereas me as a private buyer don't. So in 2019, electric vehicle sales increased by 131% in the commercial passenger sector, compared to only 24.4% in the private sector. So I think that what that will happen is will be a snowball effect. First, businesses would see fuel and maintenance savings plus the usual tax breaks for buying them, and then we would see them on our roads, and then people would start to think, hey look, there goes that van, and if delivery people are using them every day and they're not filling up at a wall socket every time they stop, then maybe, just maybe, an electric vehicle is okay for me as well, and I don't need that 1,000 kilometer battery that everyone seems to be wanting. Not everyone, that's a bad generalization, but you get the idea. There's a bit of mentality around that. So I think ultimately what will happen is that it will demonstrate both to car makers and well government that there is an appetite for electric vehicles in Australia, and what Nissan then could lobby, and along with Tesla and the others for that matter, on how their cars are saving the environment through lower carbon dioxide emissions. Yeah, so let me know, is that going to be something that we should be trying to encourage car makers to do? Maybe? Let's do a poll. Yeah, let's do a poll. Answer it up there. BMW has announced the Mini Cooper SE pricing for Australia, and well, those hoping for it to be around the Ioniq or Nissan Leaf territory, well, sadly, no. Starting at $59,000, the compact sexy 3-door pocket rocket featuring a 135 kilowatt motor can go from 0 to 60 km per hour in 3.9 seconds or 0 to 100 km per hour in 7.3 seconds. That puts it in the Mini Cooper S territory, albeit for about 13 grand more, like 13 grand more money, yeah, a little bit more money. But this thing's packed with a 32.6 kilowatt hour battery, providing 233 kilometers of range using the WLTP cycle, or actually 200 kilometers from real world tests that I've seen so far online and closer towards like the EPA value. So it comes in like 4 different colors and should be on the roads by July in Australia. They're still actually making these cars in the UK right now. So there's been no delays to my knowledge nor announcements from BMW, which is the parent family of Mini in Australia. So I'm really looking forward to seeing these cars on our road, but sadly, the price is a bit discouraging for me anyway, kind of. It's like 20 grand less than a Tesla Model 3 Standard Range Plus. And if you can't reach to that, but you want something with more style than say the Ioniq or Leaf, then well, this is your car. From a value per kilowatt or range perspective though, this is actually quite expensive. You see, taking the dollar price and dividing it by battery size or range gives you this much dollars per kilowatt hour for the SE. Do the same thing for Model 3, and well, the cost difference is between like 13 and 33% more expensive if you calculate the car value in that way, which some people do. Others don't, but yeah, shock horror. Some people will go for looks, brand, safety, features, emissions, heck a lot more, you know. It's a subjective thing. So I'm looking forward to seeing them on the roads nonetheless, and if I see you on the road in one of these little suckers, I'm going to give you a big excited thumbs up. Czech car maker Skoda has provided new details about the 2021 small SUV, the Enyaq IV. Is that how you say it? Enyaq? Maybe? I don't know. Correct me if I'm wrong. This car, which I hope will come to Australia, is not bad looking. And I think if you can see past that camouflage that is, the all-electric SUV is set to be built in the Czech Republic using MEB's skateboard platform to provide, get this, no less than five variations. Is this madness? Skoda is going to be offering the car in 2 drive systems, 3 battery sizes, and 5 power variants. Talk about complex, and seriously, is that necessary? Let me break it down for you. The base model will be the Skoda Enyaq IV 50 with a 55 kilowatt-hour battery, rear motor producing 109 kilowatts, and an estimated range of 340 kilometers. Then there's the Enyaq 60 with a 62 kilowatt-hour battery pack and a 132 kilowatt motor and a range of 390 kilometers. And rounding off this primary lineup is a Skoda Enyaq IV 80, which will be powered by an 82 kilowatt-hour battery feeding a 150 kilowatt motor for a driving range of 500 kilometers. That's 310 miles for those playing along in, those other countries. Now, if that wasn't enough choice for you, you can also opt for the all-wheel drive models, each featuring obviously a second electric motor on the front axle, in addition to the one at the back. There's an onboard charger capable of receiving power anywhere between 2.3 kilowatts, up to 11 kilowatts. And this SUV will most likely be priced pretty affordably, especially in Australia. Alright, time for one of my favourite segments, and that is mail. And last news show, I did a poll on what was the most important decision for you regarding the purchase of a car. And for those who voted, 50% first up, it's equal actually. 50% said price, another said emissions. And no surprise really, given that the content that I cover on this show is around that sort of stuff. And some of your comments reflected this, such as Neil, who wrote, "Because I live in the real world, price is always number one to me. No point aiming for a car you can't afford or have to go into great debt to buy. However, emissions are also important, which is why I opted for an EV for my present car. Riding costs and service costs are also important, and the EV checks all the boxes for me." Thanks, Neil, and a good point. If you can't afford a car, the conversation's obviously moot. But I only wish that in Australia, the private car buyers, people like me, can get some sort of help by reducing the price of EVs. That way our country's 24% CO2 emissions, plus not to mention the PM 2.5 and all the other particulate matter gets into the air, would start to actually come down. On the same show, I brought you some updates around information on the emissions and our new reality of COVID-19 and shelter-in-place orders. For some reason, emissions in places like Newcastle and Melbourne were up. So Drew wrote, "In Perth, we've had about 2 to 3 lots of burn-off conducted by the Department of Environment and Parks, causing 4 to 6 days of smoke. Definitely has been 25-30% less traffic on the roads here. So I would be thinking it's the coal-powered generation that must be the cause." And this by Jake Horton, who said, "A couple of thoughts on nitrogen dioxide levels. Weather conditions will make a massive difference, especially wind. Also, how many people out there cutting their lawns for the 10th time this week and using other dirty ice tools that create massive amounts of pollution?" Thanks everyone who actually commented on this, and you highlight some very good variables that will make measuring emissions actually very different, not only on a day basis, but even per hour basis. So thanks, good points. Finally, last week, I and many other YouTubers such as Zach and Jesse from Now You Know, Dave from Just Have a Think, and dare I share this, Jordy from the friendly Jordies, all did a stellar job in providing actual truth around renewables in the most hideous of documentary, Planet of the Humans. A lot of awesome, nice things were put in their comments, and I sincerely do appreciate them. For Gibbs, who probably isn't watching this video, but I can dream, it only took me 2 days. 2 days of research to counter your main points. And for someone who took more than 10 years to produce this, you should seriously be ashamed of putting this garbage out. It only supports fossil fuel use and gets people like this, and this, and this, sharing it with friends and family who might in turn start believing that renewables are a joke. So, you know what? The more videos that are out there that counter this, the better. And one of the things I love to do is this. Hang on. That's better. See, what I'm doing there is I'm actually shadow banning the person who wrote the comment. Yeah, and so that what that actually means to them is that they can still watch, they can still subscribe, they can comment, but their comments don't appear nowhere. So we don't have to read and put up with that garbage. Yes, and I've got to tell you, I'm proud to say this, I'm getting a lot more of this sort of stuff, and I'll very happily do it. So I do want to hear from you, but keep it positive, keep it on topic, and importantly, back up your claims with something that actually is credible, not just your opinion. Thanks in advance. Time to do a rocket round of bites. And well, this time we're going to start with IKEA, who last week tweeted that in 2019 they spent almost $4 billion on green energy. They installed like 1 million solar panels on 370 of its stores and warehouses worldwide, including 535 wind farms and 2 solar parks. The Swedish furniture giant will only use renewable and recyclable material by 2030 and is going to stop using single-use plastics. Engineers in China have developed a jet that actually uses microwaves to produce airflow. The engine simply uses only air and electricity to produce high temperature and pressurized plasma for jet propulsion. Whilst the energy input is still too high to be of use, it does hint at the possibility that this approach could become feasible for the use as like a normal powerful engine for actual air transportation using renewable power as its energy. Tesla started rolling out a few weeks ago its next iteration of full self-driving software, which recognizes stoplights and stop signs. In videos no doubt many of you have already seen, the system, which is definitely a beta, will stop at intersections regardless of the light being green or red, requiring the driver to confirm that it's okay to continue or allow the car to bring it to a stop. Volvo is partnering with tech firm Luminar to provide LiDAR and perception technology for Volvo's next generation of cars. This will mean level 5 full self-driving technology for highways, so long as it's actually been verified that they're safe for use. The system, a future option on Volvo cars, will be an add-on cost and actual feature over-the-air updates so that maybe the freeway or highway that you want to drive on that you can't today because the LiDAR hasn't been approved for that, will actually maybe be mapped so that you can actually use it. Kia Europe is about to introduce to the Sorento lineup a blind spot detection system which actually puts up a high-resolution video feed on the instrument cluster. Displaying briefly, it will either replace the speedometer or the tachometer or the hybrid system gauge and show you a high-resolution video of that blind spot. Now I'm thinking, car makers, especially like Tesla, are putting cameras on their cars, and well, Tesla's already got 8 of them, I think. Yeah, 8. And well, could they perhaps do something like this? I think this is actually a really good value add, and a good safety feature for that matter. Electric.co got wind that VW has actually started production on the ID4 Crozz SUV. Now, this I'm excited about because, well, unlike other electric cars that don't ever come to market, VW has actually promised this to the world at large. And, well, Electric.co actually was able to see the production line on a recent tour of the facility. With 500 kilometers of range and a similar size to the Tesla Model Y, is heading to America sometime soon at a starting price of $45,000 US, or in Australia, probably around about the $80,000 mark. A correction, well, really like a follow-up to the last news show that I did, where I stated that Tesla was planning on recommencing manufacturing at its Fremont facility last week, like May 7. Oh, that's confusing, but you get the idea. Well, despite Tesla's plans, county officials said no can do. And while the facility is now entering week 8 with no production. My guess is that Q2 will obviously be a quiet one for Tesla, like all other car makers, unless the Shanghai Giga can actually keep operating. Maybe. Just as best they can. Yeah, it's tough. It's very difficult right now. Tesla Australia has actually been clearing up a lot of confusion around whether or not your Tesla, if you got one, actually qualifies for premium connectivity. This story comes on the back of more than a month ago where I brought you developments where at first Tesla said that your car is now more than 1 year old, so you're going to have to start paying $16.90 per month. And some people tweeted at Elon and said, hey Elon, it's a bit expensive mate, can you help us out here? And to which Elon said, sure can do, and he did. And he reduced that to $9.99 per month Australian. It's actually like cheaper than what the Americans pay. Hey, no harm in asking, right? Well, fast forward just, like a few weeks ago now, and it turns out that if you purchase by June 30 your Tesla, you get premium connectivity for life. Now, if you want to know more information about it, follow the link down below, which is where I got all the information about the stuff I talked about today, particularly that one. And finally, in a sign of how good electric vehicles can be, Lexus has announced that it will be supporting for the UX 300e, that's like the luxury brand's first EV by the way, and currently on sale in China with plans for Europe later this year. In Australia? Maybe, who knows? The Lexus crossover SUV has an air-cooled 54.3 kilowatt-hour battery and will come with a 10-year, 1 million kilometer battery warranty. Yeah, 10 years, 1 million kilometers. This is extremely bullish of them, especially when like the first generation Nissan Leaf was basically, with its lack of active battery cooling and heating, saw battery degradation after just only several years of ownership. So what this might mean for like Lexus is either one, they've got a really good battery management software going on, or two, they're actually building into the sale price a few battery replacements. Let me know your thoughts. Okay, I hope you've enjoyed the show. If you have, smack that subscribe button, put a little like on the video, share it with your friends, write me a comment or a question. I try to respond to most of them. And yeah, consider joining me over here on Patreon. Otherwise, you know what you can do? You be good and you be great.
If you two knew you was coming over, that would be a problem. Yeah. If our friends knew undercover love and they would try to solve it, yeah.